Hello everyone, welcome to From the Heart. I'm Joshua.
And I'm Mary.
And we're excited to bring to you all that's new and good when it comes to the arts in Central Florida.
Today we're speaking with marketing communications expert and founder of the Orlando chapter of Pecha, Eddie Sellover. We'll learn about the life he's led that brought him to Orlando with this gift of Pecha. Welcome, Eddie.
Thanks.
Eddie, we're so glad that you're here, and I absolutely love the experience there. But let's talk about you as a child and your journey and your adventure to where you are today. You know, marketing, communications,
Sure.
all these things you're involved in. What got you excited about all that?
Well, I was the kind of kid who really would rather read than do anything else. I would lose myself in books. I really sort of found them almost more real than real life. My mother was always trying to get me out of the house, sometimes she'd kick me out and lock the door, just put the book down and go live. So I have that kind of literary mindset, I guess. I don't really think of myself that way, but I guess that is sort of who I am. And I became a writer. I really sort of knew at a very young age that that's what I was, fundamentally, was a writer.
What did you like to write?
I didn't really care. I mean, I just was in love with words and language. So I didn't have any particular agenda about what I wanted to write. It was more the act of writing that meant a lot to me, and the sort of learning the craft of it and what you can do with words was very important to me. So that kind of led to a career in communications, corporate communications. I eventually became a speechwriter, and really as a corporate communicator, people don't really know what that is or that even exists.
Tell us.
But any company, let's say a large corporation or even a small one, they have something that they want to communicate to their customers, to their various constituents, about who they are. They have a business strategy, but they need to be able to take their business strategy and have it sort of become a living thing through their brand, their logo, the way that they communicate. So that is really what my career became about, doing that for large companies. I did that in California, where I grew up, and then in New York for a few years, and then I moved to Orlando about 10 years ago, and I do it here as well.
What brought you to Orlando?
Work really brought me here. Yeah, it was right after 9/11, and I was in New York on 9/11, and it was very traumatic, and it became a hard place to be for a little while, and opportunities kind of dried up, and it just seemed, I guess, like a good time to leave when I left. Although it's always hard to leave New York. I mean, maybe for people like me who aren't natives, we maybe love them more than natives do. There's a piece of me still there, and in Los Angeles too. Yeah.
Well, you talked about reading and that your mom had to pry the book out of your hand. What was one of your favorite books and why? And what did you get from it?
I was always a big Sherlock Holmes fan, so I read all those books. That's sort of been a lifelong obsession, Sherlock Holmes.
Wait, we thought it was 007.
No, you saw that. Yeah.
We did see it.
Yeah, James Bond too. I suppose I have some sort of predilection for a gentleman spy of some kind. I don't know what that's about.
For those of you at home, Eddie did a Pecha about his love for 007 in the movies.
Right, thanks. Yeah, it was. I don't normally do Pechakashas at the event because I really don't want it to be about Eddie, but we did a movie-themed night, and I do have a James Bond obsession, and it sort of, I began watching James Bond movies when I was very young, and they sort of have threaded through my life and intersected with my life in kind of strange and unusual ways. So it seemed like a good way to kind of tell my story. Yeah.
You're also passionate about coaching in public speaking and other things. Tell us about that side of your journey.
Well, again, as someone who really lives and breathes communications, it means a lot to me to be able to help people communicate more effectively. A lot of people have a great deal of difficulty with it, and it comes easily to me. So I suppose, like anyone else who's good at something, you sort of know how to do it, and you want to share that. I think, especially as you get older, the sort of desire to help people over something that is really so important. Miscommunication among people, it's so rampant, and people don't really listen to each other. That's part of coaching as well, is my listening and really. People forget that part of communication. They usually think it's all about what they want to say. But really the most important part of communication is figuring out who you're talking to, what they're thinking, and what they know and don't know, and what you want them to think and to feel and to do, right?
Yeah, we've heard that a lot. The art of conversation, the art of public speaking is a lot about listening.
And the art of leadership.
And the art of leadership is a lot about listening and hearing and all of those things.
Right.
When someone comes to you and you can see that they're passionate about what they want to speak on and they're just nervous about it, what advice do you give them?
Well, there's a few things about that. You know, people are generally most nervous because they don't know what they want to say, and they're not clear in their own minds. They sort of have ideas, but they don't have a sense of it. So they're nervous for that reason. So you're a lot less nervous if you know what it is you want to communicate. And I mean, a couple of key things is, one is organizing, and another is cutting, basically, which is, Pecha is great for that because you have 20 slides and 20 seconds per slide. You can only get about 50 words out normally in 20 seconds. So when you're assembling a talk like that, you really, first of all, you have to figure out what you're saying. Usually you have to cut a whole bunch of extraneous things, right? Then you have to take what's left and organize it in a coherent fashion where it has a beginning, a middle, and an end.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Sounds simple, but it's obviously not as simple as it is.
Right. Right.
This is great. We have more coming up with you. In a little while, we'd like to hear about your vision of the future, not just for you, but also Pecha. So we look forward to that. Thank you so much.
Right.
Everyone, please, we hope that you will come back and join us with Eddie Sellover. We're going to learn a little bit more about the future for Pecha and Eddie himself. Thank you from the heart.